Hello, welcome to the Belk on Business podcast. This is Josh Belk, and I appreciate you joining the show today, and I hope to provide value to you on this episode. If you do get value out of this episode, please do me a huge favor and make sure to subscribe to this podcast. And if you're on Apple Podcast, leave me a 5-star review. Thanks again for listening, and enjoy the show. Hello, hope you're having a wonderful day, and I appreciate you taking a few minutes to listen. Today we're going to talk a little bit about building an objective team. A lot of times when you bring people together, sometimes you have people that have very much a subjective mindset. And I'll be a little bit maybe overly generalized here in kind of defining these terms, but usually people who are subjective are people who bring a little bit too much emotion into decision making. In business, many times we need to remove a lot of the emotion and be able to look at facts and be able to make decisions, make them quickly, and make them efficiently. And to do so is going to require an objective mindset, to have a team that has an objective mindset. And an objective team will have these 5 qualities, or an objective person will generally have these 5 qualities. First of all, they're able to be creative. Secondly, they're able to evaluate situations effectively. So they're able to look at a situation and evaluate what's going on, look beyond the fluff and be able to evaluate truly what the problem is. Next, to be able to analyze data. So they're able to look at the problem, they're able to take all the data that's surrounding the issue, and then being able to also, the next step, applying practical principles to real life situations. I remember back in college, going through both at the undergraduate and the graduate level, pretty much everything we learned was in a bubble. And so we even, and this is of course many years ago, we had a software that we were able to go in and it was we were acting like we were running a pharmaceutical company, and we could go in and we would increase our marketing budget, and it would result in increased number of sales. We would hire another person and it would increase the bottom line or the top line, and everything was very much in a bubble. But we know in real life business that it's not quite that simple. It was quite eye-opening to me that one semester at the graduate level I ended up taking an entrepreneurship class. And in this class, it allowed for us to take some of what we've learned and actually work together with a small local business. And we got in there, and then all of a sudden, it really hit me hard, and those of us in the class really, really hard that, you know what, everything that we learned in the classroom, it's great and it's helpful. But now all of a sudden, there's a lot more that goes involved that's involved in making decisions and moving a business forward than just simply what we had learned in the bubble of a classroom. So being able to apply practical principles to real life business situations. Then fifth, to have the skill set necessary and cognitive ability to grow and adapt to change. And so an objective team will essentially have these 5 qualities. But as a business owner, we can use tools to assist with some of these, but practically we can be active to help a team member grow in their position to become more objective. Now, we can do all kinds of testing with employees to figure out whether or not they have the right skill set, whether or not they have the certain cognitive aspects or elements that we're looking for in an employee. But practically, what are some things that we can do on a day-to-day level to be able to allow for the people that work with us, our team members, to be more objective in their mindset? First of all, allow for different team members to sit in on meetings. And I'll do this quite frequently. I'll pull an employee in. They may not even need to be in the meeting, may not even be necessarily relevant to them, but I want them to be able to come into the meeting to see a couple things. First of all, to really understand in person what our client is dealing with, what they're looking for, but also to see how we as a business, myself as a business owner, goes through and my thought process in dealing with the situation. And so I'll bring them in, and it may be a meeting inside the office. I may take them someplace to where they can learn, they can cultivate their skills, they can learn how to be more objective in their mindset. Secondly, welcome curiosity and allow for feedback to cultivate creativity in your business. So one of those 5 elements was creativity. I want for my team members to be creative, to be able to look at a situation, to be able to take the data that's necessary, to be able to analyze, but also to be creative in the way that they problem solve. And so welcome curiosity, allow for them to ask questions. And I think many times that as a business owner, this also allows for some accountability to allow for those why questions in business. Josh, can you help me explain why you do things this way? Have you thought about doing it this way? And allow for that curiosity, allow for that dialogue. Third, own mistakes. Own your mistakes. So vulnerability results in trust and connection so situation can be evaluated effectively. So be vulnerable. You know what? I wasn't thinking correctly. this wasn't the right decision. I made a mistake in this matter. And then you allow for that dialogue. How can we do better? How can we be more effective in our decision making going forward? Fourthly, look to other industries for answers. And so when you go through and you're talking to people, unfortunately in my business, I work with clients, and of course most of our clients are in one area, but we do have clients that are in other areas in the business world. And I love talking with them and having conversations with them, trying to figure out how do you problem solve in your business, and then ask them for feedback. I have this situation. How do you think I should handle this? And so allowing for that dialogue will help for you to become more objective in your decision making. And then fifth, listen to understand, not to tell. So listen. So when you're going through and you're having a dialogue with a team member or a dialogue with a client, listen for objective data to help analyze the situation and provide solutions. I know a lot of times when we sit down with people, and especially if you do any sort of consulting or mentoring, a lot of times when they sit down, a lot of the conversation is emotional. Okay, so they're getting into a lot of the subjective data, how they feel, all these types of things, which is important. You don't want to minimize that. And one of my core values is compassion, and I want to be able to sit there to listen, to understand what they're going through, but be able to kind of pull away all that kind of emotional stuff and get to the bottom line. Okay, this is what the real situation is. Get to the root cause of what the problem is, and then deal with it. When you go into a doctor, for example, they say that my tooth hurts. They understand your tooth hurts, but most importantly, they're going to take X-rays. They're going to get in there. So they really truly want to see what's going on because they want to get rid of that infection. They understand that it hurts. They understand that it's painful. They even understand that going through the process of fixing the problem may be a little bit painful. But bottom line, they need to figure out what the problem is and then come with solutions in order to be able to fix that toothache. Okay, whether it's to pull the tooth or to go in there to remove the infection, maybe give you some medication, whatever it is. But that's the bottom line. That's what they're trying to get to is they want to be objective, not subjective. Because the dentist just sits there and says, "Oh, I feel your pain," and just have this dialogue. You never get the problem solved. So to be able to remove that fluff and get to truly what is the problem, come up with what are effective solutions to be able to solve the problem, and then at the end of the day, be able to create a team, get those individuals around you that can think the same way. Hope this brought you some value. I encourage you to subscribe to the Belk on Business podcast. Have a wonderful day.